When we're making a bag, we want it to be durable, easy to use. We don't want it to fall off our shoulders, and we want it to feel good in our hands. So in order for us to sew these bags on a home sewing machine and use the durable, good leather that we want to use to make a bag that will last, we have to attach the leather with something that isn't the sewing machine, because it won't go through the 10 ounces of leather. And if it does, the stitch will not be that great because the machine will have trouble keeping optimal tension and timing through a material that is that dense and thick. So for straps, what we want is we want it to be really strong and durable, especially at the attachment point. Essentially, we want straps that aren't too thin, because thinner straps won't be as durable. We want straps that are like really stable. So thinner leather tends to be more stretchy. Thicker leather tends to be more durable and not as stretchy. We want it to keep its integrity, right? When we talk about the weight of leather, it is the thickness. 8 to 10 ounce leather is a little bit thicker than 5 to 7 ounce leather, okay? There is certain millimeters that correspond with those weights, like the thicknesses. I tend to not want to make straps from leather that is thinner than 5 ounces. And I don't tend to make straps from leather that is thicker than 10 ounces. We use a 8 to 10 ounce vegetable tanned leather on this, okay? It's classified as English bridle leather because a lot of leather comes from the saddle making or equestrian heritage, essentially. The same way that industrial sewing comes from sail making heritage, for that matter. So there's always that lineage in the craft, right? So we tend to use an 8 to 10 ounce English bridle vegetable tanned leather, or a 5 to 7 ounce chrome tanned leather. And chrome tanned leather is a little bit thinner and more supple than vegetable tanned leather at first. Now, vegetable tanned leather wears in and becomes softer over time. So English bridle is a type of leather used for bridles, and it's vegetable tanned, meaning that the tanning process is vegetable oils. Chrome tan, it uses more chemicals in the tanning process, which results in a more supple leather. So a lot of garment weight leather, which is leather that's about anywhere from a little below 1 ounce up to, you know, probably 5 ounces even. A lot of times that is mostly chrome tan leather, and that's because it is a little more bendy, a little more supple, a little more soft. Now, if we're talking about sewing leather on your bags, just keep in mind that whenever you're sewing something, you're sewing more than one layer. So if you think you can sew maybe through 5 ounces, then you would need to get like a 1 to 2 ounce or 3 ounce leather, because usually you're sewing one thing to another. If you know you're going to go over 4 layers of leather, then you need to pay attention to that. So that's a little bit of a tangent, but I wanted to speak to that because I get that question a lot. This rounded edge is with a round end punch. Since this is a 3/4 inch strap, you would want to use a 3/4 inch round end punch. If this was a 1 inch strap, you'd want to use a 1 inch round end punch. The best size to get is the size that you know you would be making a lot of straps with that width of leather. We tend to do 3/4 of an inch for most of the straps that I design on my bags, but like the Fremont tote, it has a crossbody strap that's 1 inch. So in that case, you would use a 1 inch round end punch to make that strap. Now, you don't have to use a round end punch to cut leather. You can just use a rotary cutter. So it would just cut a straight line or an angled line, and that's fine too. We just think it looks a little bit more professional if you use a round end punch, and then you would use that on a cutting board with a mallet because it's a cutting tool. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope that demystifies a little bit about leather, okay? These are really the foundational things for how we do heavy-duty, professional-looking bags on home sewing machines.